Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about guns and gun-free zones. I'm David Dean, and this is Middle America.
They'll never take our freedom!
I see these videos online where these people take these anti-gun people, or people that have never shot a gun before, and they hand them a howitzer. Some gun that's going to blow their shoulder off them, make so much noise and have such a kick that's going to scare the ever-living bejesus out of them. Why would you do that? Did your dad hand you a 12-gauge shotgun when you were 10 years old and said, hey, see if you can hit that can? I mean, come on. Why would you do that? It's not even funny at all, especially in this day and time. I can remember back in my day, my dad, he liked guns. He had a 22 Remington bolt action. And that's the first gun, other than a BB gun, that I shot. And we had 20 acres of land, so my dad set up a gun range. He stacked, 8, 10 railroad ties on top of each other, built like a little wall, and, threw a bunch of, stuff behind it. He put it in front of a berm, so we already had a backstop. But we always threw our garbage, old tires, old appliances, yard waste, all that kind of stuff behind it. So, we had a decent backstop. He painted the perimeter of the railroad ties in red, probably about 12, 16 inches wide, and the center of it, what was just left over, was white, so you could see what you're shooting at. We had a couple of cinder blocks. I think it was 4 of them. We had 2 rows of, like 2x6s for shelves, and we started out on cans. So we would shoot cans, and once we got good at cans, you always want to get better. That's the great part of the sport of shooting. Not hunting, not self-defense, just the sport of shooting. You want to get better, so now instead of just shooting a can, let's try shooting at the logo. Okay, now you got the logo. Now let's find a smaller target. I can still hear my mother. What happened to all my clothespins? We just have fun shooting clothespins. We'd get down to nickels and dimes and quarters and whatever. Anything that we could shoot. And then I remember on the back of the box, it had a trajectory on there of how many yards the 22 was good for, and how many inches it would drop or how many yards you shot it. So, of course, we had to test that out. And, you got really proficient at it and you really got good at it. You always wanted to get better. What's my next step? What can I do now? And then my brother brought home a 22 semi-automatic. That was the most fun little gun, I swear. Now you could shoot a can, and because you didn't have to reload it, it automatically spit out the previous shot and injected the new bullet into the chamber. That you could shoot a can, it would flip up in the air, and then you tried to shoot either the bottom or the top out, whichever faced you. It got to be really a lot of fun. I remember hip shooting. That's how I started hip shooting with that 22. Hip shooting is like if you ever watched Chuck Connors on The Rifleman, how the rifleman always shot off his hip. That's what we were doing with this thing, and we got really good at that. We really enjoyed it. Of course, then we got into the hunting aspect of it. I started out with a 410 shotgun, moved up to a 16 gauge J.C. Higgins, as a matter of fact. Then the 12 gauge, 20 gauge also. New York wouldn't let you use a rifle, so I thought in my mind if I had a smaller caliber, or smaller gauge, I should say, I could be a little more accurate with it. And it was a good gun. I mean, it was a real good gun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then, you hear these people that have no idea what guns are. You listen to them on TV, and you just about shake your head. It's like, what are you even talking about? They have no clue what they're talking about. And, of course, people like me have a clue. So, their biggest thing is, well, this is a military-style rifle. Well, think about it. The Springfield 1903, I believe it was a 30-06 that they used in World War I. The M1 Garand from World War II was a semi-automatic weapon. I mean, semi-automatic weapons have been around since 1885 or something like that. They were first produced in Germany. So it's not a evil weapon. And you could buy the M1 Garand off the shelf, basically. I mean, you can go through the government to buy them. People sell them online. They actually still work, and that's a military-style rifle. But it's still just a semi-automatic. And what that means for people that don't know what a semi-automatic is, it means I can pull the trigger, shoot one shot, pull the trigger, shoot another shot without having to reload it myself, like with the bolt action. You'd have to like lift the handle up, pull the handle back, the bullet would eject, the cartridge would eject, and then the spring-loaded clip. I call it a clip. I've been doing this for 40-some-odd years now. All of a sudden it's a magazine, but that's fine. The bullet would come up spring-loaded into position where you just ram it in with the bolt into the barrel, lock it down, and then take your next shot. That's what you do. Cock it up, pull it out, push it back in, cock it back down, take your next shot. The semi-automatic reloads the gun for you automatically, so you don't have to do that. Now, that's not the same as an automatic. An automatic is I squeeze the trigger, and every bullet's fired until that clip/magazine is empty. The semi-automatic, you pull the trigger, you get one shot. Pull the trigger, you get one shot. So there's a huge difference. And as far as sporting with it, as you want to get better, you try different things. I went skeet shooting. And most of the skeet shooters had double-barrel shotguns. They were either side-by-side or over and under, where the over and unders are basically the barrels on top of each other. The side-by-side is where the barrels are, side-by-side next to each other. Well, those are only 2 bullets. So you throw up 2 skeet, which are clay pigeons, which basically look like the small little frisbees made of clay. You throw them up in the air, bang, bang, you shoot 2 of them, great. Now what? I can't get any better with this 2. So then we bring out the semi-automatic shotgun. Now I can shoot 4. I can't quite do 5. By the time I line up the 5th one, it's on the ground. But I can do 4. And I can't do that without a semi-automatic weapon. So, people say, oh, you don't need it. Guess what? I do need it. If I want to shoot 4 clay pigeons out of the air, I need 4. I need a semi-automatic. So when people talk about the military weapons, I go back to thinking I got that again. And, Armalite thought it was a good idea to let's improve the gun. Instead of having a wood stock, steel barrel, this heavy thing, let's go ahead and, emulate the M16, but we'll make it for civilian use. It's not going to be an automatic or a 3-bullet burst. It's just going to be a semi-automatic. Bang, bang, bang. That's it. So they built it. It's a quote-unquote military style. It's, reflective of the military, like the Springfield was reflective. The Remington is out there now, the 30-06. You can still buy a 30-06 semi-automatic like from World War II, but now you can buy an AR, quote, 15 style rifle. There's a whole bunch of them, and they have all bunch of different calibers. Now, a caliber is the distance around the bullet. So a 22 is, 0.22 inches. That's the diameter around the bullet. So that's like a 1/4 inch. The AR-15, when it came out for civilian use, used a .223, which means it's .003 inches bigger than the 22. What the hell's .003 inches? It's about the size of a human hair. So it's not a big, huge bullet. As a matter of fact, the 9mm that the police use in their handguns actually has a bigger diameter. The only thing different about this gun is it's for a rifle, so it has a bigger cartridge, has more gunpowder behind it. It's going to send it further down range, faster. That's it. Now, if you go to any gun site, and I challenge you to do this, you can go on there and you can see these guns that they're making now are more of the carbon fiber, polymer, aluminum, lightweight guns. And you hear these people, why do you need an adjustable stock? Well, if I'm shooting a gun from a guy that's 6'5", and I got a 10-year-old kid, I'm not going to have him shoot a gun that big. I want it to fit him, so you can adjust the stock so it fits him, so it's easier for him to shoot. And what's nice about these guns is you can put all kinds of bells and whistles on them, different sights, different grips, whatever it makes it more comfortable for you to shoot, carry. That's what's nice about these guns. They've graduated from the wood and the steel to something lighter and easier to shoot, and you can put more bells and whistles on it. You can customize it any way you want. These old guns, you could put a scope on them, and that's pretty much all you could do. Or maybe a strap. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to think what else you could put on them. Oh, maybe a bumper for the back of the stock itself, so maybe a little cushion when you shot it. Just a rubber thing, nothing illegal. Just a rubber cushion on the back of it, so when it hits your shoulder, it didn't bruise too much, I guess I would say. So, the idea that people are talking about these guns being bad, the thing is you can get these guns in any caliber now. You can get them as a 22, like I started out with, as a 22. But it looks like an AR-15. But it's not an AR-15. It's a 22. And you can look at all the different manufacturers that have copied this profile because they see the benefit of it. It's not because some idiot decides to walk into a school and shoot a bunch of people. It's because it's a higher quality gun. It's an easier gun to shoot. It's a more fun gun to shoot. I mean, it's a ball to shoot this gun. You guys, I'm telling you, go down to the range, get yourself a rifle. You can rent them. A 22, go out there and shoot it. Go plink, plink, plink. I mean, they're target guns is what they are. But, some of these ARs, I mean, you can get a 30-06 in an AR-style gun for hunting big game. The 22 is good for, like, squirrels and rabbits and what have you, and target shooting. I really enjoy trying to get my shooting level better and better every time I try to do something, You can play games. I mean, if kids are out there playing video games, take them to a gun range. I mean, you can set up a target with numbers on it. You can say, okay, the first one to 21 or the first one to 101, whatever. You just, shoot your target and see how many bullets it takes you to get to 101. It's a lot of things you can do. That's a lot of fun. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about briefly are gun-free zones. Let's start with schools. Back when I went to school some 40-odd years ago, when the homeroom bell rang, I should say, the school was locked down. The only way you could get in was through the front door. That went right by the office. Because if you were tardy, you got detention. So why can't we do that now? When the homeroom bell rings, try to say that fast, homeroom bell rings, the doors are locked. Now we'll put cameras on every door, just to make sure some knucklehead doesn't open the door to let somebody in. And we have a school resource officer or an armed guard at the front door, the main door, to let people in. And I would like to have another armed person in the office. Now, I don't care who it is. I'm not even going to tell you who it is because you don't need to know who it is. I'd also like one more armed person in the school itself. Again, I'm not going to tell you who it is because you don't need to know who it is. Just the idea that they're there is enough to deter someone, I'm assuming. I was also asked, okay, that sounds good, Dave, but now what about, outside, loading and unloading school buses? Well, then I thought about that. Why not have a couple of cops out there? You see them at schools down here in Florida all the time. I mean, they're out there at the crossing gate guards, and, they're at schools every morning. So there's no reason that can't happen. They're already pretty much doing it down here. So, if your school's not, ask why not. They're there just long enough to get the kids off the bus and get the kids on the bus and be on their way, and that's it. So that, to me, would be a great way of securing the schools, a minimal way of securing the schools without a whole lot of money involved. Now, as far as like movie theaters and other venues that refuse you to have a gun, well, if you're going to be a gun-free zone, you better have something there to protect my ass. I'm telling you, if you're going to keep me from carrying my gun into your establishment, you better have something there to protect me. Simple as that. I mean, that's not an option anymore. You better have a guard there, and you better have maybe somebody else there as well. Because again, if you overtake the guard, I would like at least another layer of protection there, whether it's the manager, somebody else in that facility, owner, whoever, is properly trained in the use of firearms and knows exactly what to do when he has to do it. And I think that would take care of the gun-free zone aspect of it, too. Now, obviously, with the other forums now, with the cars and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot you can do with that other than set up barricades. But, right now we're talking about guns and how to protect gun-free zones. And like it or not, you're going to need a gun. If you don't want me bringing my gun, you better have a gun. Simple as that. All right, well, that's my rant for now. I appreciate